Gary Paulsen's Brian's Hunt, published in 2003, marks the culmination of the middle-grade coming-of-age survival series, Brian's Saga. Serving as the fifth and final installment, it follows the narrative progression of Hatchet, the River, Brian's Winter, and Brian's Return. In this installment, Brian ventures back into the wilderness, returning to the woods 2 years after his initial survival encounter. Paulsen, a seasoned outdoorsman, skillfully portrays Brian's inclination towards a simple life in nature, contrasting it with the complexities of civilized society. The novel is lauded for its authentic depiction of wilderness survival and its examination of ethical dilemmas surrounding hunting and human impact on the environment. Themes of personal growth through experience, respect for nature, and the value of simplicity are interwoven throughout the narrative. Brian revels in the tranquility of the northern Canadian woods, finding solace away from societal pressures and the clamor of human pursuits. Reflecting on the profound changes since his plane crash 2 years prior, depicted in Hatchet, Brian embraces his role as an adept woodsman, continually learning from the natural world. Embarking on a canoe journey north through interconnected lakes and rivers, Brian plans to revisit the Smallhorns Island camp. During his initial sojourn in the woods, Brian had spent 3 weeks with the Smallhorns and now wishes to reconnect, particularly with Susan, the Smallhorns' eldest daughter. Despite never meeting her, Brian often contemplates Susan and hopes to finally meet her on this return trip. The narrative takes an unexpected turn when Brian is roused from sleep by the distressed whimper of an injured dog on the shore. Despite the dog's severe injuries, it displays remarkable trust in Brian. As he tends to the dog's wounds, Brian suspects it originated from a Cree camp, puzzled by how it ended up in the wilderness. Speculating that only a bear could have caused such injuries, Brian is perplexed by the notion of a bear attacking a domesticated dog. Driven by an inexplicable urge, Brian heads north with the dog, sustaining themselves through hunting and fishing. Intent on unraveling the mystery behind the injured dog, Brian sets his course for the Smallhorns camp. However, as he approaches the island in the middle of a lake, an uneasy feeling creeps over him, signaling that something is amiss. Devoid of any signs of nearby human activity and absent the aroma of cooking fires, Brian experiences a sinking feeling as he maneuvers his canoe to shore. His worst apprehensions materialize as he nears the cabin. The aftermath of a bear's destructive rampage is evident within. A grim discovery awaits him in a corner of the cabin, the lifeless and mutilated body of David Smallhorns. In the face of shock and panic, Brian summons the strength to scour the camp for Anne, David's wife, and their 3 children, including Susan. Employing his keen tracking skills and attention to detail, Brian pieces together the harrowing events. Drag marks on the ground lead him to Anne's similarly grim fate, her body bearing signs of a savage attack. The kennel area reveals the aftermath of the bear's rampage, with 3 lifeless dogs and a snapped leash offering critical clues. Brian realizes that the injured dog he encountered had escaped during the bear's onslaught. Further investigation uncovers that Susan had returned to the camp during the bear's presence, her canoe being pushed south by the wind. Determined, Brian heads south and locates the exhausted and frightened Susan. Towing her canoe back to the island, he initiates the heartbreaking task of burying David, Anne and Smallhorn. In the aftermath, Brian wakes Susan to deliver the tragic news about her parents, offering solace as she grieves. Using a shortwave radio, they summon Canadian Mounties and Rangers who arrive by plane to assess the situation and interview Brian. Susan is escorted to her relative's home, where her younger siblings find refuge. Learning that the authorities have no plans to hunt the bear, Brian takes it upon himself to seek retribution. With the loyal dog by his side, they track the bear, unraveling its habits. However, the hunter becomes the hunted when the bear unexpectedly charges through the foliage, attacking Brian. Swiftly and bravely, the dog intervenes, providing Brian with a crucial opening to pierce the bear's chest with 2 arrows. Though the bear succumbs, it collapses on Brian, who emerges with non-life-threatening injuries. Surveying their wounds, Brian initiates a process of self-preservation, building a fire and preparing to harvest the bear for sustenance. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.